Yeah, we're doing that right now.
Stick them on together.
Sorry, that's fine.
No, Heather didn't find her hat. Maybe that's in the back. Hey, I know that.
These for the eyes. Hi again, guys.
Have you seen a red? Yeah.
No, I haven't, but should I look for one?
We're looking for
Who's the
what?
red panda bear? Ryan or? Okay. All right. If I see you again and I see you, then I'll let you know, okay?
I also do older boys.
I like the ceiling tile. Oh, yeah, that's what I know, but whatever. I know they're painting around the school.
No, just scissors. Well, you can.
Hey, Peter, watch this. Watch this, Peter. Ready?
Oh, this one ain't cool. Funny money. Sorry. Sorry, ma'am. My. Oh, keys. Oh. Oh, which one's mine? Oh, little Marissa.
I had to take speech when I was at Bridgewater State, and I had to get up and even as a grown-up, I'm still like,
Yeah, so. Nice phony Photoshop.
You're not stressing for a month before
Good. Nice to meet you, Maria. You have any stuff here?
yeah.
Oh, that's good. I thought I'd just take you video some of the stuff. Oh, I like this one.
She knows all these seniors. What is the deal?
This one's cute.
he takes me on his motorcycle, and then riding on the motorcycle.
In the living room. Jackie Ashby, probably sorry.
That's all right.
No, motorcycle. The other way, revert it.
I wear a half. I wear a half with
I'm in the fire service. I think the things that I always look for in games is, how do you deal with pressure? How do you deal in pressure situations? Not necessarily who scores the most points or who has the most rebounds, but when you do those things, when you do them when the game is on the line. And I thought it was impressive to me to see a number of juniors, sophomores, and freshmen doing that very thing, making a big free throw down the stretch when the game is on the line, and really following the lead of those seniors that are leaving. So congratulations to them. I think that being said, what you do from here going forward the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is until your season begins again, I think you guys have a great chance to have a really nice long run with such a great young core of talent coming up. So congratulations, and that goes right down through the 8th grade level. I know I feel blessed. One of my goals as an athletic director is to have a department that is a college-type atmosphere, and I think that was already the case coming in with the girls' basketball program. I feel very fortunate to have this coaching staff it's a college staff, period. I just want to thank you guys for all your hard work. And also let everybody know that this is the gold standard program for medical forms. There's no question about it. I think Coach P we have a lot to thank. Everyone thank Coach P for that. So I'm going to have her put a clinic on next year for all the incoming coaches. So thank you all for your efforts and congratulations. And I wish the seniors the best of luck and enjoy the rest of your morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Our next guest speaker will be Mark Farinella from the Sun Chronicle. I believe he's going to talk about the progression of basketball.
And thank you everybody for having me here tonight. You know, I understand that a lot of times when you have a guest at a banquet, you expect them to speak somewhat about their own experiences in the sport. Well, I can't do that. I was off. There's no getting around it. I couldn't go to my left hand. I had a decent outside shot, but that wasn't enough. So that didn't sustain me. So like most people, when those who can do and those who can't become sports writers. Now, my high school sweetheart, that was a different matter. And I want to talk a little bit about her because many people ask me, why do you cover girls basketball so much? Why do you devote so much of your time to it? And you'd be surprised that after 30 years or so, some of the people who ask me the question aren't exactly being nice about it either. I'm not sure why, but my high school sweetheart was named Jackie Cross. She was 5'11", center, the Mansfield High School Hornets. Boo.
Enemy.
And for 3 of her 4 years, she was the starting center. But you have to understand, basketball at that time absolutely did not resemble what you folks play. And I don't think many of you would want to play it. Imagine this if you can. 6 girls to a side. 3 of them can't cross the half-court stripe. You can only pass once. You have to dribble, pass, get it across. Now the 3 girls in the front court can stand anywhere they want, basically, although one can camp right in the lane, no 3-second rule. Well, that's where Jackie was, and so she scored a lot of points, and the game was ridiculous. It really did not resemble basketball at all, and you know, it was very hard to watch. Now, strangely enough, up until about 1985, maybe even a little bit later, I think, the state of Iowa really put everything they had into that kind of thing. 15,000 people would fill the Des Moines Civic Arena during tournament time every night to see the 6-girl game played in their state tournament. And they kept doing that for a long time until after a while they realized that none of the kids were getting college scholarships to play because they weren't playing 5-player rules. So eventually they came on board with the rest of the country. Massachusetts made the changeover in the 1970-71 season. And so that was my senior year, and that was Jackie's senior year. And I went to some of her practices at the beginning of the year, and she was struggling with the concept of 3 seconds, believe me. I mean, she had been able to stand in the lane all this time, and just couldn't get the idea through her head that now she had to move out of the lane. Now, I had a job at that time covering sports for the Mansfield News, which was on a par with the Foxborough Reporter back in those days. And part of what that entailed was, you know, going to games, writing about them, as I do now, except in 1970 and 71, that was writing about boys' sports. Nobody, quote-unquote, cared about girls' sports. So one day, middle of the season, Jackie asks me, Mark, why don't you come to any of my games? Well, I could have said a lot of things probably that, you know, may have been a little easier, may have gotten me off the hook a little bit, but I have this character flaw where I just sort of blurt out the first thing that comes to mind sometimes. And I looked at her and I said, well, it's just girls basketball. Just girls basketball. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm in trouble, right? Absolutely. I looked in her eyes at that moment, and I saw serious hurt in her eyes. And it wasn't just that I insulted her, but as an athlete, and with the pride that she had, and especially at a time when people's attitudes about women's athletics were changing, she was angry at me because I just totally dismissed her entire gender. I knew I had messed up, believe me. But it was very difficult for me to, at age 17, to kind of explain to her that, well, yeah, you know, maybe I was wrong. Well, it took a while, but she was a very forgiving soul, and she did forgive me for a while anyway. I have to say that, unfortunately, we did not last as a couple. We went to college together. We grew apart, as people tend to do, but we reconciled as friends, and unfortunately, in 1986, she died of breast cancer. 4 children. And I'll tell you the truth, a day doesn't pass where I don't think about her as a player, as an individual, as someone who was loving and committed to becoming an athlete at a time when it wasn't cool for girls to be athletes, I guess. In fact, even before she died, she had become the recreation director of a community in northern Illinois, and was it was nice to know that she was helping to teach young kids to play the game that she loved so much, even right up until she had to go into the hospital. And the reason why I mention that is that's part of the legacy for why I cover girls' sports. I could tell you stories upon end. In fact, I haven't written all down here, but I know I don't have the time to do it. So I would just say that a big part of that legacy is here, Foxborough High School. Now, remember, I'm a Mansfield boy, so that's kind of tough for me now, remember? But Foxborough won me over. And I'll go back to 1979 through 81. A team here coached by your superintendent of schools, Chris Martis. That team went to the Division II South Sectional Final 2 years in a row. And this was a time when there was a gas crisis going on, and they wouldn't allow people to go on farther in the tournament. There was no state tournament those years. Now, they ran into some pretty good teams in Westwood and Abington, and they didn't come back with a title. But when I think of those kids, Diane Kavanaugh, Sandy White, Ellen Corliss, and the whole group of them, they really won me over. They proved to me that they could go out there and play the game with the intensity and with the spirit of anybody, any boy who ever took the field or court or any athletic venue. You know, Chris would used to, the thing I liked about him the most was that he did coach them hard, and they responded to it. There was a drill they had where when practice wasn't going as well as it should have, and he would just take the ball and roll it out to the center of the court, and the girls had to go out there and dive and just go after the ball, go right to the floor, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, until they practically begged them not to do it anymore. But they learned a lot from that, and their competitiveness and their desire showed me and a lot of people that girls basketball had a future. I'll fast forward this a little bit. I'll go to a team that many of you are familiar with, coached by Nancy, with the coach here as its best player. But she wasn't alone on that team. If you look up in the banners that you have in the school, you'll see the name of Holly Grinnell. She was a 1,000-point scorer at Foxborough High, went on to score another 1,400 points at Bryant College. Now think of Jody Riley, the point guard on that team. Very, very scrappy, very hard-working player who went on to become the first female helicopter pilot for the Massachusetts State Police. Those kids, obviously, were a great team. Played hard, played well, and was probably one of the best teams I saw, unfortunately, never to win a state title, unfortunately. But they were, again, played at such a high level that I would compare them to any players you see today. Great team to follow. And with them, and with the North Attleboro teams of that era, and with the 4 Walpole teams that they had to face in the tournament each year, there was some pretty good girls basketball. And that was when I was really convinced that girls basketball was here to stay. And last year, you folks all listened to Angela Stuccio. She came here, talked to you. Very, very intelligent, hardworking young athlete whose ability and maturity and leadership helped bring Foxborough to the brink of another state title. And Jamie, I haven't forgotten you. State title. Ask Jamie sometime about the shot that she hit against Lee to keep that game going. Good job, Jamie. You know, you are all very lucky to be here in Foxborough and to have the support of a community that appreciates girls basketball, that has had a great tradition in it. And, you know, I can think about, yes, there is a state title among them, but I can also think that there are some towns that maybe don't appreciate it as much. You take North Attleboro, for instance, 2 state titles, and yet you still can't get the athletic director over there to roll out both sides of the bleachers for a game. You're lucky here, and I hope you really appreciate it. I don't really want to tell you what to do because you're the ones who are out there, but I just hope you really appreciate the the legacy that Foxborough has, and that there's always been a thread that's run through all that I've seen over the years. Part of it is drive and determination, a commitment to self-improvement, a commitment to your teammates. And I think that one thing I've seen in Foxborough athletes all these years is that at the end of the day, I believe that when they've gone out there and played hard and done what they can, they know that they've given everything they can in the effort to help bring victory to Foxborough and help bring pride to the school. You know, I think it's very important to say that there are lessons from sports that we all learn and that we all can take with us. And I think when you get to be my age, you can look back at it a little bit more clearly than obviously when you're competing. There's one last note I want to add. There is, as you know, many of our schools have put up banners honoring our 1,000-point scores. Now, scoring 1,000 points isn't the be-all and end-all of girls basketball, I know that. But I think it does indicate a certain level of commitment, a certain level of hard work, and I think it also indicates that there's also team success that leads to individual success. I also think, though, that effort that it takes to go out on the court every day and to do the job that you want to do and to be able to succeed gives you kind of a bit of a impetus to go on and do other things in your careers and in your lives, whether you go on to play basketball, or whether you go on to college, become a doctor, become anything you want. I know a person, and I'm not going to use her name because I don't think she would want me to. She isn't looking for notoriety or sympathy from anybody. But one of the people on one of those banners in our local schools has undergone some serious challenges in her life over the last 8 years. And these are life-threatening challenges. Now, she has been an inspiration to me and to her friends and the family for the way that she's approached the challenges that she's faced. And she's still with us, doing well. And I think, and I know this is probably stretching it a little bit, but I think that part of what has enabled her to meet these challenges are just the simple lessons that she learned when she was a basketball player, of setting goals, of committing yourself to something, of preparing yourself to succeed and preparing yourself to fail. Now, am I saying that basketball cures cancer? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't be that presumptuous. But I firmly believe that everything you learn as a child, as a teenager, can be called upon later in your life to help you deal with the challenges that you might face, whether they're personal, professional, health, whatever. You learn how to set goals, you learn how to focus yourself and concentrate and prepare for both success and failure. You will be better prepared for what life has to offer in the future. I'm convinced of it, and I've seen that proved through my friend. For those of you who are coming back next year, I want to wish you the best of luck. I'll be looking forward to watching you all play. For those of you who are going on, good luck. I hope you enjoyed your experience, and just remember, be proud of being part of what you've been part of, because Foxborough High School won me over a long time ago, even though I come from the other town. And I really have been proud and pleased to watch you play, and I wish you the best. Thank you for having me.
All right, nice.
Thank you, Mark. Judge Briggs, come up, and you notice Mike Hartman stepped in.
I've learned now that after I've tried to prep my girls so that they knew what they were supposed to do, I have to change it again on them, but we'll get through it. I'd like to start off by thanking Craig and the coaching staff for allowing me to be part of this. It was a great. To start off,